scholarship. But if the same amount is applied to the United Kingdom, and there you can live with this amount at least,
Oh, got
because
it.
in a shared house it's much cheaper than the United States. I don't know why.
Yes.
But if the,
You said anything? I think my
I think Sydney, you said something
no.
because
All right.
I also heard some voices.
All right, guys. Let's start. I put us live on YouTube. So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, this is a talk and talk English immersion. And here we have like an hour to talk about a random theme to practice our English skills. So if you want to know how to do that, go to talkandtalk.com.br. Today we're talking about Brazilian sports and recreation. Feel free to talk about other sports, especially Felipe, who is a traveler guy. But I put Brazilian here because most of people in Talk and Talk are from Brazil. So let's start with question number one, guys. What is your favorite sport to watch or play in Brazil and why? Sydney.
Well, nowadays it's a difficult question because I don't have time. Even if I try to s- to see maybe 10 years ago, I I don't know when I stopped to watch some sports or to practice it. I think in my teenage years I was more time to practice it because in those days I had a lot of friends and I also had time to practice it. Football, skateboarding, let me see, tennis. Yes, once I worked in a country club, and because that the people there gave us some equipment, racket, ball, and hedge, and we practiced it. We made some tournament together with the people who uh, worked with me. But now, like you mentioned, Sarah, I I don't have a lot of patience to watch it. I feel very nervous and feel very anxious as well. And also because my work, I have been working even so hard, even on weekends. I try to maintain to keep my energy or my patience to my work and to my family. Also because my son, he's 6 years old, like I mentioned, and in his age, he he always asked me to play with him. He requested me a lot, and I think I want very much to spend that time with him because it's a unique time, unique moment to because it's interesting because now he's 6 years old, but I can see 10 years forward because the time flew up, fly, flies, it flies too so fast, and I want to spend that time with him and also with my wife. So that's it. Thank
Nice,
you.
nice. And does your son likes to play any sports or he prefers to play inside the house with his toys?
Yeah, he likes to assemble legs. He has a tons of Legos, but in his school, he has I think a private lessons of football. I think for him, and he was a swim lessons as well some months ago, but because some problems in his ears, the doctor advised us to took him out of that swim lesson and follow if that problem in here was about the water, about the, I don't know how to say chloro in English. bought the chloro in that water. But now I think that thing stopped for some months, and we are going to put him again in, I think, the next month, August. Yes.
Nice, nice. I remember my mom made me go to swimming lessons when I was a kid to learn how to swim, of course. But I hated it. I did
Oh,
it for
really?
like 7 years, and I hated to swim because it was
Oh,
cold and I have to go to a pool with the cold water. But it was good because nowadays I know how to swim.
Yeah, it's very important. Very important.
Yes. What about you, Felipe?
as you can see that your son is almost taking the same path I took when I was a child because I used to swim and also played with Lego until my 15. I like to play with Lego a lot. And basically, like for 10 to 15 years old, I used to play with Lego. I left the swimming pool after a while. And then I also played a lot with the PS1 as well. Because my brother, since he bought, I think it was when he bought the PS2, he gave me the PS1, so I started playing with that and with his old games as well. But yeah, coming to the question itself, my favorite sport is volleyball, mostly because I used to play a lot when I was doing my high school and before that as well, I think. And I also somehow enjoyed watching volleyball games as well. Uh, but since I entered the path of the academia, I I stopped watching everything, and then I also stopped playing volleyball. So nowadays, when I think about that, I think, okay, I need to find like a team who is also starting because I will be like a stone in their way when it comes to playing volleyball. So when you play with a lot of people who is also starting, then you don't feel like ashamed for not knowing how to play anymore. And yeah, but like when I take some search about this, it's difficult to find like groups who is starting because most of them are looking for team members who already know how to play this game. Okay, let's let's continue my path in the academia and forget about this for a while. Yeah.
It's weird because when we are grown ups, we stop practicing sports
Mhm.
most of people because we direct our attention to what is important, like work or in your case study.
Yeah.
But
And
sports are also important, and we stopped. I don't
yeah,
know why.
before I went to the United Kingdom, I used to swim here in Brazil.
For
Uh,
pleasure because you like it.
yeah,
Oh my god.
but the thing is, like the swimming pool I went, it was heated. It was not cold.
Oh,
So
nice, nice.
sometimes it was too hot to enjoy because I don't like it, like really hot water, and the water was really really hot.
Because you get sweaty and hot
Yeah,
when you are doing exercise, so
yeah.
it's
And
uncomfortable.
when I was a child, I used to take some swimming lessons because I had some breathing problems, especially because of my heart.
Oh.
And my mother, okay, let's put this child into the swimming pool to improve his breathing. So at first I struggled a lot, but as after a while I managed to like how can I say this? Control my breathing and then start enjoying how to swim and take some laps and everything.
Nice. There you go, Sydney. There is a reason for you to take your son back to swimming lessons.
Yeah, and also me, I was planning to have that swimming lesson as well because I have some problems to swim. I can swim, but I have a limit time. I can't swimming like a professional, a pro, and I have plans to swim with him at least.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
That's a good thing to do together.
yes, I think so.
Let's go to question number 2, guys. How do you think sports influence Brazilian culture and society? Sydney.
Well, think about that. I think, well, maybe because Brazil is a tropical country, I think the weather and the sport, that both things influence each other. I think because the weather is influence the people, motivate people to practice some sports, to walk, to play football, volleyball, practice some martial art. I think more the outdoor activities, outdoor sports, and because yes that sports, I think each other it can influence sport, influence the weather, influence sport, and because that sport is and the what else culture. Let me see. To think about to influence the culture. For example, we know that I think the English people invented football, but the majority of the people around the world, they think that Brazil is a land of the football. I think it's one of the things that make us very famous. Brazil is known to about that sport, and also I think capoeira is one of that sport that it's not originated in Brazil. It originated in Africa, but it's famous here, and I think jiu-jitsu. I think that there is a kind of jiu-jitsu that Brazilians invented. I don't know how to tell the story about that, but I remember there is a family in Rio de Janeiro called. It's a famous family that invented that kind of jiu-jitsu, and now the people call it jiu-jitsu, Brazil's jiu-jitsu. And yes, I think that's it.
Nice. I didn't know about that family in Rio de Janeiro. Brazil is a very how can I say that? We take a lot of cultures from different countries, so I see us practicing like all kind of sports, except the snow sports because we don't have snow. But if we could fabricate it, I think we would have people practicing I don't know the names of ski and that kind of stuff. What about you, Felipe?
When Sidney was talking about capoeira, I started to remember about elementary school because at that time I was really shy, and then the school had a awesome idea of putting me in front of the school to play capoeira with some other strangers, like in front of everyone in the school. When we were about to sing the international Window Nacional, and like they had some sections. Okay, let's put some students to play some capoeira. Even though I didn't have any practice about this, I was just doing some air kicks and then some like really strange movements to imitate what I saw in the television. And yeah, at some point my mother got to the school to ask them to stop doing this with me because I was always the choosy one to go in front of everyone to do this. And yeah, that was funny in that period. But yeah, thinking about the question number 2, I remember that like I think the soccer plays a large influence in the Brazilian culture, especially in the regions where you have like a higher poverty density, and where children start playing soccer, expecting the future to become like professional soccer players. And there's another thing that there's a thing like it's a thing nowadays. It's a games or esports as well, which is influencing a lot of like children, teenagers to play electronic sports or let's say League of Legends or anything like that, to become professional players in the future. Uh, I'm not sure about, okay, can we classify this as a sport or not? Because it's not something that you like, you're moving your body, you're doing something healthy, let's say. Uh, just basically type in your keyboard and like, how can I
You're
say
moving
this?
your fingers.
Yeah, swearing a lot of bad words as well. Yeah, that's kind of difficult, but it's becoming a thing nowadays. It's like a 2020 thing. And yeah, and about how can society. Yeah, what I'm about to say now is I think I'm gonna use in the next question, so I'm gonna keep this on hold.
All right, nice. Thank you, Felipe. Let's go to question number 3 then. What are some traditional Brazilian sports that are not well known internationally? Sydney.
Yeah, it's a difficult question. Well known some sports that are not well known
I think
internationally.
capoeira is
Yeah,
one.
I was thinking about that as well because I never
Y-
heard anyone about the university speaking about capoeira.
Yeah, I heard some people who fight like in UFC fighters, they know as like Brazilian know a lot about capoeira, but well, that sport, a traditional sport, I don't know, but I know that Brazil is it's because the weather and the green areas, some mountains. I think some desert areas. I think that there are some radical sports that the people used to practice. For example, how can I say in English? But to jump, I think dive, skydiving. I think skydiving is one of the sports. I think diving as well. When in some, for example, in the city called uh, Bonito, in
Mm-hmm.
Goiás, yeah, there is a lake, a beautiful lake, and that the people diving there, and the film that diving. So, what else? There are a lot of sports, like you said, Sarah, but to remember it now, I think marathon is that's one of the sports that we practice a lot, especially for example in Belo Horizonte we have the Pampulha Lake, and there are a lot of uh, uh, contests there, and the international contest in the final of the year. Uh, what else? I think that's it.
Nice, nice. Felipe, do you want to add some sports to the list?
I no, I think I just the only thing I can remember is capoeira because I had a conversation about this sport with a few Turkish friends at my previous university. Because of one of them started taking classes on how to dance forró. So he came to me, oh, I started doing classes about forró, and do you know about that? And I was like, ah, yeah, I know. And it was like, oh, do you like the forró? I was like, no, I don't like. Not a big fan of forró. But at some point, we start talking about like certain other kind of dances and martial arts as well. And then I try to explain to them how capoeira works. Like, oh, you fake that you are gonna kick someone, but you like go over that person and stuff like that. It was really funny to explain how to play this sport.
It's really weird actually because it's not only a sport, it's also a form of art,
Yeah,
right?
basically.
A dance. So, oh my God. Nice. Um, you talked about forró. It's weird because forró is very spread in the world. This particular culture of Brazil. I dance forró, and I know I follow in Instagram a lot of people who teaches forró. And there is a lot of teachers in Europe teaching forró, like Brazilian people. In Japan, in Korea, it's weird because people live there and have a lot of students from other countries trying to learn forró. I didn't know that it was very famous outside
Mhm.
of Brazil. Anyway, I Google it sports from Brazil and there is a list. Peteca, sandboard, frescobol, futsal, futebol de praia, and there's other sports that I never heard of, and jiu-jitsu brasileiro, Sydney, like you said. All right, let's go to question number 4, guys. Who are some famous athletes you know, and what sports do they play? Sydney.
Well, definitely, the famous athlete we know in Brazil is Neymar because the football, and I think thinking a little bit outside the box, I think Anto Silva. Now he is retired, but he he made a lot of interesting and historic fights in the UFC fight, the championship. And the Ayrton Senna as well is one of the athletes we think everyone knows about him. Uh, what else? Well, think about. I think not. He's not a athlete, but he was a coach. I think Bernardinho. Yeah, he's very famous in the volleyball. Start of the volleyball. Let me see another sport. Formula 1, I said Ayrton Senna, but there are also Rubinho Barrichello, Felipe Massa, I think so. Felipe Massa. I think yes. I don't. Uh, at the moment, I not remember some another specific people from other sports, but I think you Sari and Felipe will cite another people.
Yeah, like I know only the most famous ones, but like I'm not a big fan of soccer, but I know a lot of soccer player names just because the people don't stop talking about it. So you're gonna start knowing all these names. And going beyond the bubble, I can think of like the F1 players you mentioned about, and also Gustavo Kuerten, who played tennis. Even though I mentioned that I used to watch volleyball, I don't know any names. I just enjoy watching, but I was not a big fan of anyone. So I just like, okay, let's watch some soccer player while having volleyball player while taking breakfast, for example. I was not like, oh, let's memorize his name because in the future I need to know his name. So yeah,
Sure.
yeah, like that. So
I also don't remember a lot of people. I know Pelé. Pelé, Ronaldinho, Ronaldinho Gaúcho. And
Christian,
also Cristiano Ronaldo. He
Cristiano
is from
Ronaldo, who became who bought,
Brazil.
yeah, he bought uh, some properties of the FG empreendimentos in Brazil, like here in Santa Catarina. There's a big
Really?
constructor of buildings that works especially on Balneário Camboriú, and he bought part of this company. So see a lot of ads in the streets with his photo and his family's photo as well.
Oh, good.
Nice, nice.
Never heard about
He's
him.
almost Brazilian to me.
Yeah, it's not even
Nice.
more because we can see a lot of his photos here in Santa Catarina.
Nice. And also we have that woman Rebecca Andrade, the
Rebecca,
girl. I think it's Rebecca Andrade, the girl from gymnastics who won the Olympics. Do you know her, Felipe?
I look at her photo, but I don't remember because I'm not used to watch gymnastics.
Yeah, it's
And
Rebecca Andrade. Yes, she is recently known because she recently won the Olympics. But yeah, she's not very known. All right.
there's there's the skateboard player, the Raíssa Leal. I think she was
Yes.
12 years old when she won a certain competition that I don't remember, but I just only saw the news on the television about her.
Yeah, that was nice too. It was a good name. Nice. Question number 5, guys. Can you share a memorable experience you had while playing or watching a sport? Sydney.
Well, I would share a member experience about I had playing football, but I I was a terrible player. Even now, I start to be a kind of good player after some years playing it. But in my teenage years, I stopped to play football and I start to play skateboarding. I don't know if the correct to say playing or ride. There is a, but I'm going to say play. I played skateboard. I started to play it when I was 13 years old until my 18th. Yeah, but
Nice.
yeah, it was a little dangerous. It can, yeah, it's still a little dangerous, especially to play with it on the streets, in the middle of the cars, the motorcycles. But in those days, we didn't have a skate park here, especially nearby my house. But now we have two skate parks, and it's appropriate place the people play it to, I think to do some maneuvers. I don't know how to say that. And yeah, but the equipment in those days was very expensive. I didn't work, so I need to ask my parents to buy some that equipment for me. The shape, the trucks, that the base of the skate, and some specific shoes. And after some years, because I I broke my shape, so I I start to think about to stop to play it, and well, I don't know, to start to find a work. I don't know, because I was near my 18th.
Do you want to go back? Do you dream about going back to skateboarding?
But in some moment, I feel nostalgia about that moment. But I don't know. It's because the time, maybe in the future, when I can have more time to practice it. But yeah, but when I see some people playing with skateboarding, I feel happy because it brings me a lot of good memories.
Nice, nice. That's a sport that I would never think about going. I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah, you're right.
Nice. What about you, Felipe?
Yeah, I was laughing here because I started to remember some memorable experiences from the past. Basically, there were some disasters while playing certain sports. For example, the first one I remembered was when I tried to introduce volleyball to certain country people that didn't know too much about this part. So we had an open field, and then I placed some bamboos to build the structure, and then I put some wires. I don't know what I used. I think it was like the wiring, the fish net to
Oh, yeah.
the two bamboos to create like the cover. And like since it was open field that was used for many things, even for like cattle, there was a lot of like shit
Oh,
around the field. And the thing I remember that one of these guys that were playing there, like he was from the farm, he slipped on one of this shit. So I just remember that scene from the past. Other thing that I also happened to me was when I used to do some mountain bike in the country side of the city, and I remember that when I was going downhill, I didn't use the brakes, so I lost the control of my bicycle and I fell and go well over the floor. But I didn't break anything from that. I just years later I broke my arm in a really silly accident where I look back when I was cycling and then my front wheel bumped in the sidewalk and fell and broke my arm. But
oh my God.
from that pure accident where it was much worse, I didn't break anything. I don't know why.
God
and,
helps the motorcycle people. There's the only explanation.
and the third one was it was not a disaster, but it was like during elementary school where I like had this kind of school sports that happened between June July. And I remember that I used to play a lot of ping pong, but I was not really good at it. And but I remember that during that competition, I don't know how, but I managed to win against everyone in that competition. It was just a miracle because it just happened that day, and afterwards I became bad again.
So nice. Oh my God. I think I would never win at win everybody in a game that I was not
Yeah,
very good.
I'm not sure if like it's the adrenaline or anything like that that made me good in that game, but
Sorte de principiante. Beginner's luck. All right, let's go to question number 6, guys. How do you think the success of Brazilian athletes on the international stage impacts national pride? Sydney.
Well, uh, I think we can see clearly that thing in the football. I think we continue to be I think one the only football team who has five, I think, five world championship. But now well, at least me, I don't have any hope, no hope to win some uh, uh, World Cup again. I think it is impacting a lot in our I don't know, in our not in our pride, but also in our how can I say, in uh, but well, let me see another. I think in some UFC fighters, I think at least some years ago, we tried to follow some fighters in order to celebrate if some, for example, when some athletes, some fighters beat another famous fighter, especially for a developed country, for example, USA or I don't know, France or UK, we feel happy about that. It can make us feel because we not a developed country. We have problems, economic problems. We are poor, but they are very rich, and at least in some moment we can beat them in some sports. And yes, I think that's it.
Nice. I feel the same about football, about soccer. I don't like very much, but I remember that our feeling as a society, as a country, used to be more strong towards the soccer team. Nowadays, people are not very hopeful about the World War, oh, Copa do Mundo. Felipe, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I can only think about soccer as well. The World, the World Cup. That's reminds of this. For example, when I was a child, I remember that when Brazil used to play in this kind of sports, I remember that a lot of people in the city went around the city with their cars with like the flags and everything, uh, cheering, cheering the Brazilian soccer players. And nowadays, you don't see too much of this thing uh, around the city. And the only thing I notice is like the Brazilian players nowadays they brag too much about having five uh, prizes, let's say, uh, instead of focusing, okay, on how we can win the next game, let's say. I see a lot of like in the previous World Cup, I saw a lot of ads in the television with like famous Brazilian players uh, playing the ads as if they have won the World Cup already. And I was like, oh, let's play the next game and see if you're gonna actually win this World Cup. But they always play the role as if they have won the World Cup already, and I feel like they brag too much about having already won the World Cup, even though they still need to play the next games to see if they are going to actually win. And then when they actually play the game, they're going to receive like a 7-1 from Germany, let's say. So yeah, in my case, like my opinion about this, like let's stay humble and see if our abilities can lead to the next prize. Otherwise, we cannot take too much pride from prizes from the previous soccer players that were not then from nowadays.
I totally agree. I think we will only wake up as a team when another country wins 5 times or 6 times and we stay behind.
Hmm.
Then we're gonna think, oh my God, we have to run to be the top one again. But let's see. Guys, we have time for one more question. So let's go to question number 7. What are some challenges faced by athletes in Brazil and how can they be overcome? Sydney, if you don't know how to answer that, we can answer other question.
No, that question is a good question. I think most of the athletes they are facing a worse financial situation. Most of them depend the government uh, subsidy from the government, especially the people who practice some not so famous sports like gymnastics and marathon. I think excluding the football because there are a lot of sponsors, the sponsorship was very, I think, very popular, and the audience also is there is a big audience, but the sport that it's not so famous, and it's very difficult to follow some championship like martial arts. I think it's difficult the people to continue to practice that sports. I had a friend. He was very good in uh, taekwondo. He uh, he won some championships, but when he turned his 18 or 20 years old, yeah, he thought that he will not have the good future in that sport, and he in those days he was seeing that all of that friends having buys their cars, and he didn't have money come from he did have some money come from that sport, so he gave up, and he starts to he went to the university and start to study law, yeah, to become a lawyer, yes. So I think the financial aspect is the one that the biggest that the people are facing nowadays.
For sure. This example you gave about your friends says everything, because we don't have the financial support like, for example, athletes in the United States have. If they are athletes, they play soccer or any other sports, their college is paid for. The government, the university pays for their college, so it's like it's not from the government, but it's a good um how can I say that? É uma instituição que está dando investimento, então isso instiga a pessoa a fazer um esporte. That is what I wanted to say. Felipe, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know any sport in particular who like faces especially financial challenges when it comes practicing the sport. But I remember news from the previous Olympics that soon after the Olympics finish, you start some news in the television saying about certain athletes who won, like let's say the copper, no, the bronze medal, the silver medal, or the gold medal, about the difficulties they had before going to that competition. This just appears after the Olympics, as you can see. And you even hear some news about certain people selling their own prize to pay for their expenses and everything like that. Yeah, I think Brazil has a long way to go, especially when it comes to sponsoring these people to play these sports and put Brazil in like a higher standards in when it comes to Olympics, especially. Soccer, I don't see too much of this problem because yeah, Brazil is like a soccer country. You have a lot of sponsors, but not for too much for the other sports, like especially MMA sports. I don't know which kind of sport I can mention about this. But let's wait for the next Olympics, and you're gonna see in the television pay attention that like soon after the Olympics finish, you're gonna see start seeing some news about these people having some financial crisis to afford their way to that competition.
For sure, for sure. That's a good point you brought. Guys, that's it for today. Thank you for being with me. Have a nice week and practice sports so we don't become sedentary people. Bye bye.
Let's play
Good advice.
e-games.
And
Yeah,
e-games. No,
as
e-games
well.
no.
Example
Bye
mine.
guys.
Bye
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
bye. Thank you.